Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. This is a donation reward for Venom0027, and this is going to be an interesting one. Because I don't exactly know a lot about this. I know who Elvira is. And I believe she had a show, like a TV series, where in kind of like a Mystery Science Theater kind of way, she would go over bad movies, bad B horror movies and stuff. Mystery Science Theater, I think, was more focused on sci-fi, while she was more focused on horror. And it was always the B horror, the crappy shit. But the stuff that's so crappy, sometimes it's kind of fun. I think it was kind of that similar thing. So, what is a movie like that? I mean, this is a movie about Elvira, or starring Elvira, or whatever. What does that mean? Does that mean it's like a full-length version of her show? Because that doesn't make sense, because wouldn't her show be the length of a movie anyway? Or is it actually a movie, like an actual movie with plots and script and everything, where she's a character? And I mean, I know Elvira is a character anyway. I know that's not her real name. But I don't know. I don't know what this is like. I know this is a thing. I knew this movie existed, but I never knew exactly how it worked. I don't really know. Excuse me. I don't really know what to expect from this. If it is its own full movie, if it is an actual film in its own right, is it gonna be schlocky and cheesy like a B horror movie? Or are they actually gonna try to make it, good? I don't know. I don't know what this is gonna be. I don't know if there's anyone else I know in this. I think this came out in the 80s, I want to say. Yeah, I don't know what to expect. This is it's not really been my wheelhouse, because I never really watched the Elvira show. It's just I just knew who she was. And nowadays, in more recent news, she's known because she came out. She came out as queer and everything, and it was kind of a big deal. It was all over the place that she was queer. People were losing their minds over it. And my thoughts were always just good for her. It's that's awesome. But it's I grew up, again, knowing who she was, but not ever having watched her. So I was never the target demographic for the hype surrounding that. And I never really understood exactly what the appeal was. Excuse me. What the appeal was, outside of just the fact that she's hot. I never understood the appeal of Mystery Science Theater either. To be fair. It's just what, someone's showing off a bad movie and riffing on it. Okay? I tried watching some Mystery Science Theater, for example, in the past, and it's this is kind of like a reaction, but bad. Because it's like they're barely reacting half the time, and when they do, it's just terrible jokes. It's like not even funny. They're just making fun of everything that's happening. And again, it's like not even as often as you would think. I don't know if that's because they're not trying to like interfere with the movie or something too much, so that they want you to still watch the movie. But it's like there's a lot of time that's just filled with dead air, and then just suddenly one of the characters pipes up with a stupid joke that just isn't funny. And it's like, okay, I don't get the appeal in this. I mean, if it's for you, that's fine. But it's like I don't know if the Elvira show was exactly the same as that, or if it did things differently. But I don't know. It was never my thing. That's all I'm saying. I never got into it. I never really checked it out. And I never really found interest. Again, I acknowledge that, like, Elvira's attractive, but it's like, outside of that, it's like, I don't, like, the format of that kind of thing just doesn't, I guess, appeal to me. But, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. And again, I don't even know if her format was the same as that, or just, a bit different. I don't even know if I'm correct on any of this that I've been saying regarding her show. I'm just going based off what I think is the case. But either way, we'll give this a shot, see what it's like, and I guess just hope for the best. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, as I've been doing a lot lately with movies, we're going to look at some of the thoughts on this first. Because I wanted to look up some things in between and see what is going on here. So, this movie came out in 1988, and apparently there's a 2001 sequel to this, which is pretty interesting. But let's see what people thought. So, on Rotten Tomatoes, which, as I always state, is not the best site for determining the quality of a movie, but I also think that you shouldn't take critics' reviews seriously anyways, and just judge it based on your own experience. Either way, I like also how it says which categorizes reviews only as positive or negative. It's like no room for like any kind of mixed reaction or anything. But it says on here 52% of 23 reviews are positive, which 23, that's so few reviews. Karen James in the New York Times rated the film 2 out of 5 in 1988, stating that there are only a couple of fresh and funny moments. In 1999, Richard Harrington wrote for the Washington Post, said it's stupid fun, a distaff gothic version of Pee-wee's Playhouse. Elvira is fun, a Transylvanian Valley girl, grown up into the queen of the BS. But after 96 minutes, you may start thinking more fondly about those 50s and 60s camp classics she's usually interspersed with. Anthony Arrigo said in Dread Central in 2020, so actually a much more recent review, that Elvira managed to make a seemingly oxymoronic character into a household name, built off her bountiful looks, quick wit, and indefatigable charisma. That's actually a word I don't think I've seen before. Daniel Barnes said in 2020, also a more recent one, that this one-note vehicle throws ambiguity and subtlety out the window in favor of a barrage of unfunny boob jokes. In Nashville's scene in 2021, even more recent, Jason Shawhan said it's campy, witty, and always eager to push the body limits of a PG-13 rating. Okay, so I was actually kind of wondering about the rating, too. Apparently it was PG-13. Peterson has stated that the distribution company for the film went out of business literally the day before release, causing the number of theaters showing the film to drop from over 2,500 to roughly 500. Geez, that's a big drop, which resulted in the low box office. That sucks. That the distribution company went out of business, like, right before it released. Okay, anyways, apparently Cassandra Peterson also won was nominated for a Razzie Award for Worst Actress, losing to Liza Minnelli for Arthur 2 on the Rocks and Rent-A-Cop. Okay. But it also did get some other nominations. Fantasporto, or is that Sporio? No, that's Sporto. Nominated it for Best Film. She was nominated for Best Actress in the Saturn Awards, and the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards had it nominated for Worst Picture. So it had two Best Awards, Best Film and Best Actress, and two Worst Awards, Worst Picture and Worst Actress. So, yeah, very mixed reactions, it seems, just in general on this film. So that's pretty interesting that it was that mixed. But let's actually go over my thoughts now. All of these people who are like saying it's unfunny or whatnot needs to have their pulse checked, because this was one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I'm not even kidding you. This was fucking amazing. Like, it's campy as hell. It's really cheesy. The acting is ridiculous. The plot is ridiculous. It's stupid, but in the funniest, most entertaining way. It is absolutely amazing. It knows exactly what it's trying to be. Because the thing, Elvira as a character, as Cassandra Peterson's character, reviewed these B horror movies. Riffed and reviewed these B horror movies, right? That was her thing. So she made a B movie. Like a bad movie, in that same kind of realm. With the same kind of cheesiness, the same kind of ridiculousness. That's the point. It's supposed to be like that. But people saying it's unfunny, it's like, what? Do you not know humor? Do you not understand humor at all? Like, this Karen James in the New York Times saying that there are only a couple of fresh and funny moments. Are you kidding? Only a couple? The entire thing was hilarious. And this Daniel Barnes person saying one-note vehicle throws ambiguity and subtlety out the window. No shit, that's the joke. That's the point. In favor of a barrage of unfunny boob jokes. The boob jokes were hilarious. You kidding me? Like, what the hell? Jason, I agree more with Jason Shawhan's review. Again, he says it's campy, witty, and always eager to push the body limits of a PG-13 rating. It's campy and witty. That's the point. That is exactly what it's going for. It's not meant to be like this extremely well-made movie. That's not what it was ever going for. You look back, you'll see movies that are better directed than this, better shot than this, better acted than this, from the 70s, even the 60s and 50s. You'll see movies that were technically better made. But again, that's the point. That's what they were going for. That's the entire joke of the movie. I don't know if I would consider this full-on satire. but it's basically within that same realm. And it's just like people acting like it's supposed, like they're people rating and judging it based on the same kind of merits they rate and judge like a more serious film on seems disingenuous as hell to me. Um, like Harrington said, it's stupid fun. It's like Pee Wee's Playhouse. It's not meant to be serious. It's stupid as fuck. That's the joke. That's the point. And that's why it's so good. That's why it's so fun and so funny. Because it's absolutely dumb. So many things about it didn't make sense. So many things about it were absolutely ridiculous. That's exactly what it was going for, and it succeeded. Cassandra Peterson was amazing in this. The Elvira character is full of so much sass, wit, just she's amazing. She's so fucking likable and fun and entertaining. She's badass, she's sexy, and she knows it, and she's willing to flaunt it. But she's also not willing to take any shit from anyone. If someone tries to sexually assault her and shit, she will fight back. Because although she's confident in her body and willing to flaunt it off, she knows it's not okay for someone to take advantage of her despite that. Her showing off her cleavage and whatnot constantly is not consent. And it's just, I love that she's, I love that. I just love that. Because that's a thing that is still relevant to this day. You see it a lot in convention culture, even. Like, that's why there's the entire thing was brought up about cosplay is not consent. Just because someone is cosplaying as a character and happens to be very scantily dressed or whatnot, doesn't mean they're consenting to you touching them or oogling them or whatnot. Like, that's not okay. And it's like, that's not consent. They're just, anyone is allowed to dress any way they want. That doesn't mean you have the right to, assault, again, literally assault them. So I'm so happy that she's like this icon in this way, fighting for her right to dress and present the way she wants, but also acknowledging her right to her own body and the lack of rights anyone else has to her body just because of the way she dresses. This movie also touched on the idea of kind of these conservative, prudish ideas versus more modern, open ideas, I guess you could say. Especially when it comes to dressing more suggestively. It makes a clear point that the prudish ideas here are judgmental and wrong. That they're extremely gross to try and create this standard for how women should look and dress. That's the idea, and that there is absolutely nothing wrong with someone looking and dressing like that. It very much paints that kind of prudish ideology in the wrong as a controlling, harmful narrative that is spun out of just basically stupidity. And again, something that is very much still relevant to this day. It still fits. And luckily there are people who just did not judge her at all. who saw her as a person. And while yeah, she still dressed like that and still like was very like notable in that kind of style and presentation. That's the word I was trying to think of. Um, Characters like Bob and then the teenage girl and all, they just saw her as a person and saw everyone else ostracizing her, and they knew that they were going to be on her side and that they were going to stick up for her and shit. And that's awesome. And it's wonderful to see characters who are, good in this kind of situation. And again, it's like, it's obviously stupid. It's obviously ridiculous. They had fucking witch trial. Like, come on. If you're trying to judge this movie to any of the same degree that you judge a serious movie on, when there's a fucking witch trial in it, when the bad guy is this evil centuries old sorcerer, it's like you're doing something wrong. This is not in any way meant to be taken seriously in that regard. It's a comedy. It's a comedy film first and foremost. It's meant to be a joke. It's meant to be funny. It's meant to be entertaining. And that's what it succeeds at. It's not trying to be this wonderfully directed top tier movie. That was never the intent with this. And it definitely pushed its limits, though, I will say that. Like, even just ignoring the fact that, like, multiple guys were sexually assaulting her by, like, grabbing her tits at various points throughout the film. Um, that's definitely something much more adult in terms of content and whatnot, both for the sexually assault and just grabbing of tits. But also that ending dance, like, wow. That's really all I could say. Wow, like, she was barely covered there. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I want to make that clear. Like, even despite my reactions and everything, there's nothing wrong with wanting to present that way, especially in like a Las Vegas stage show or whatnot. If it's advertised for more of an adult audience and everything, then there's nothing wrong with that. Hell, if she wants to present that way and show her body off and everything, that's completely fine. Just like in the modern day, it's completely fine for people to show off cleavage or a lot of their body, a lot of skin, or to do sex work or something. We need to stop, like, looking down on that kind of shit. We need to stop ostracizing people for owning their sexuality. It's a gross, draconian idea that women have to be straight-laced and like overly clothed. The entire modest is hottest bullshit is exactly that. It's bullshit. It's just a way to control women. It's a way to control women, a way to control, like, their lives and to assert dominance. I hate to use the term because it's so kind of corny to use, let's be honest, but it's a sign of the patriarchy. It is. It was a creation of a male dominated culture that forced women as to be second class citizens. Once women started fighting for their rights and everything, that's when that started to change. Once they started fighting to be equal, they started to be more comfortable with themselves, to be more proud of their bodies, to be just a lot more okay with them. Women who had to hide themselves for so long because their husbands or the men in their culture demanded it. But they realized they could be free and express themselves in any way they wanted. And it's like Elvira kind of encapsulates that. She kind of encapsulates that idea. She is her own person and she's not willing to take shit from anyone. She is completely comfortable, not only comfortable, but proud of her body and is willing to show it off. But again, that does not equal consent. There is a difference. Just because she's willing to show it off and willing to be sexual in her presentation doesn't mean she's consenting for you to touch her or to, try to do bad things to her, sexually assault her and shit. And I just really love that this movie goes into that. It's so good. It's so good. And again, I loved Elvira. I loved Cassandra Peterson's performance. I thought she was the perfect mix of camp, of wit, of sex appeal. She was everything. Just everything. And yeah, obviously a lot of it was very sexy. Like, a lot of it was like her showing off her tits. There was a lot of focus on that. There was. And there were a couple scenes that showed off her ass cheeks as well. With, let's be honest, very little covering that. And again, the dance at the end. The Vegas show at the end. And again, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm by no means afraid to see that in a film. And I just like the confidence she has, And I wish I had that much confidence with my body. And I wish I had boobs like those. Like, I really wish I had boobs like those. I get boob envy very bad. But I also am very attracted to boobs. So it's like, am I getting turned on? Am I just jealous? Am I both? It's both. But yeah, it's like Elvira is honestly like not specifically in the goth sense, because I've never been like big into the goth aesthetic myself, just for me personally. But in terms of her confidence, in terms of her personality, in terms of her just strength of will and everything, Elvira is goals for me. Like, I would love to be that confident. I would love to have that kind of just pride in my body. And like the closest I've gotten to showing off a lot of my body is like wearing my swimsuit to cosplay beach parties. Wearing my two-piece swimsuit, it's like that's the closest I've ever been to being able to be proud of my body, to be able to be proud of and willing to show it off to any degree like that. And it's like, I'm very like happy about that I've been able to make those steps. But again, I still have a lot of there's still a lot of me that's, I wouldn't say ashamed of the way I look, but not exactly comfortable with the way I look yet. I still have a lot of hang-ups about that, especially as a trans woman. Again, the breast envy. It's like, I want boobs, like, more than just, because I'm fat, I have like a little bit there, little bit of something there. But I want actual breasts. And there's a lot about my body in general that I don't like. Not going to go into all that here, but So seeing characters or actresses or whoever else, just people in real life, being confident about that, it's like I'm jealous, but also in awe of them. I look at them as inspirations, and hopefully one day I can get there. Hopefully one day I can be a lot more confident in my body too. Whether I get on HRT and am able to grow breasts with that or not, I don't know. We'll see if anything ever progresses in that state. But yeah, this movie was just, it was not only just an absolute blast in terms of comedy and quirkiness and fun for me, but I genuinely enjoyed it too. Like, I genuinely thought this was enjoyable. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was good. Again, I would never call this like the best movie ever made on a technical sense or anything, but from a pure entertainment and enjoyment sense, this is probably one of my favorite things I've watched this year in terms of movies. Um, I'm not even kidding you here. I enjoyed it that much. I wouldn't say it's the best thing by any means that I've watched this year, but again, one of the most enjoyable. And that's kind of what matters in the end, right? That I have fun, that I enjoy watching something. And same goes for everyone out there. If you enjoy something, it doesn't matter if it's technically well made or not. It doesn't matter what other people think of it. If you enjoy watching something, own that. Don't let anybody tell you you're wrong. And just like don't let anybody tell you you're wrong if you don't like something. You are entitled to your opinions. You are entitled to your views, your experiences. Don't let anybody try to tell you that you're wrong for liking or not liking something. They're wrong for thinking like that. But either way, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of Elvira, Mistress of the Dark? And a huge thank you to Venom0027 for donating for this. Because again, this is definitely one of those movies I would have never seen otherwise. I would have just never had a reason to check this out on my own. But thanks to your donation, I got to see it, and I'm so happy I did. I love this so much. And again, Elvira, pretty easy on the eyes to watch for an hour and a half. I mean, hey, nothing wrong with acknowledging she's sexy, as long as you do so still respectfully. But that all being said, thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.